In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a selection or a select field, and then to pull these selection values from an options page. So here we have some values that come from a text field, and here we have some values that come from a repeater field. So to show you what that looks like, I'm going to head over here to the text options. I've created an options page, and here you can see I have a comma separated list of values. And here I have a comma separated list of values. What I've done here though is I've used a semicolon to separate between the different options, and here I've used a comma separated value. So when you look at the output, you'll see that here we have black, lemon yellow, blue, yellow, purple. So we have black, lemon, yellow, and here we have blue, yellow, purple, and they group together according to the semicolon, and they are then sorted alphabetically. So the black first, then it starts with the blue, and then the green. When we have a look at the next list, you'll see that it's numerical sequence, and that follows the same sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 as we have it listed here, and it's not automatically sorted. When we look at the repeater options, you'll see that I have repeater 1 and repeater 2, and here we have values entered in rows, and you can just add rows as normal, and then when it's output, those are automatically sorted alphabetically. So blue, orange, purple, red, yellow, and an option, another option, but in alphabetical order. So what we're going to do is have a look at how to create this particular selection and choices from the options pages. So before I get started, what I'm going to do is delete everything. So here I'm going to go to my field groups. I'm going to move those all to trash. And then I'm going to go to my options pages. Now you'll see that I have this menu across the top, and that is because I am using a plugin called Advanced Custom Fields Extended. So this works with Advanced Custom Fields Pro. And then I'm also using the Code Snippets plugin. So I'm going to go over to my snippets, and I'm just going to disable that one. So we create a new snippet. Right, and also what will happen now is because I've deleted everything, I won't have those options pages anymore. So if we're going to have a look at the plugins I've used are Advanced Custom Fields Pro, Advanced Custom Fields Extended, and Code Snippets. None of these are in use. So that's what I've used for this video. Right, so let's get started. So we've deleted all the field groups, and now we're going to start from scratch. Right, so the first thing to do then is create the field groups. Before you do that, I'm going to create the options pages. That'll just make it easier to assign them. So the first one will be text options. The slug will just make that text options, and then I'm going to give that a position of 10 so that it's quite nice and high up here in the menu. So you'll see it comes up there nice and high, and then I'm going to add a second one, and that will be let's call that repeater options, and here, and also 10. Right, we publish that, and now you'll see we have the text options and repeater options. The next thing that I'm going to do now is create the field groups. So here are the field groups, and they are going to be, let's call it text options, and I'm going to assign that to the options page, and that must be equal to text options. We'll publish that, and the next one that I'm going to create then will be a new group, and that will be called repeater options, and we're going to assign that to the repeater options page, and we'll publish that. So now we need to add the fields. So to add the fields, then I'm going to do the text fields first. So we head over to text options, and there will be the text rows will be the repeater. So the first field that we enter here will be a repeater field. And the second field that we enter will be the text title and the text area. So this will be the text title, and that's just a standard text field. And then we'll go the text options, and that's going to be a text area. With that done, I'm now going to update, and we'll just go and have a quick look at that. So under text options now, you'll see that we have the text rows, and I'm going to add a row, and it will be text 1, and this will be green, red, blue, yellow, purple, black. Right, and I'm going to add a second row, and that will be text 2, and there I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, and we're going to update that. Now we're going to create a similar structure, but instead of a text field, text area, we're going to have a repeater on the right hand side. So we go to repeater options, and to get to that field group, simply hover on this bar and go to the edit field group icon. And the first thing I'm going to do then is put the repeater rows in place. So that will be the different rows, and that's going to be a repeater field. Right, with that done, then I'm going to add my repeater row values, and the first one will be repeater title. Right, and that's a text field. And then the second one will be repeater options. That's going to be a repeater field, and inside that repeater will be a text field, and we'll just call that option name, and that's a text field. So now we update that. We head back to our repeater options, and when we add a row, you'll see that we have a title. So let's call this repeater 1, and now we can add some rows and some options. So the options here, let's go colors again: red, blue, yellow, orange, in no particular order. And we'll add another row, and let's call that repeater 2. And we'll just add some more rows here, and this will be an option, more options, another option, and a good option. So there we have our options, and we update. So now we want to create a field that will then display these options. So to do that, we head back to our field groups. I'm going to add a new field group, and in this field group I'm going to call this value output. Right, and then I'm going to add we call this the first text. So this is going to be a select field. So here under choices, I'll choose select, and I can just duplicate that. And the reason I'm making 2 is because under text options, we have these 2 rows, text 1 and text 2. And here I'm just going to call this second text. Right, there's the second text, and let's make that a checkbox. And the choices. So we're now going to fill these choices with values from those text areas. Right, so now I'm going to go back to my field groups, and I'm going to go to my text options, and I need to get the values now for the text rows output the values. So what's nice about having this add-on for Chrome is it will build the advanced custom fields loop for me. So after installing that add-on, when you hover over your rows, you will see that you have this copy code and copy code with subfields. So I'm going to go with the copy code with subfields. Then what I'm going to do is head over to my field group, my code snippets. So here's snippets. I'm going to add a new snippet, and I'm going to do text select output, and I'm going to paste it in there. Then the first thing I do is just get rid of all these PHP references like this. You can do a find and replace in a text editor, which is a little bit quicker, but there's not a lot to do. Right, so you can see if we have the rows, while I have the rows, the row, and all the hard work, the heavy lifting has been done for us. Now what I'm also going to do is just get rid of that. What I'm also going to do now is just get rid of this if statement here. For purposes of this demo, we know that that file exists. Right, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. Right, so we have the first field, the text title, get subfield text title, and then we have the associated text options in the text area. But now we only want to get the values if the first value is true. So we only want to get these values if they're associated to this title, and these values associated to this title. So the first thing we need to do is check if the title is equal to text1. So to do that, I'm going to create an if statement. So we're already getting the text title field here. So now what I'm going to do is if text title is the same as, and paste in that text1 value, then we're going to do something, and only then will we get the value. So the next thing I'm going to do then is copy that get subfield statement in here, and that, so if those values are true, then it will go and get the subfield values here. And what I'm going to do now is if that's true, then I'm going to now convert this comma separated list into an array. So to do that, values equals, we're going to use explode, and we're going to say look for comma separated and the name of the variable to check and to create the array. So now what it's going to do is go through that and create an array from the comma separated list, and the array will be called values. Now what we want to do is go through that list of values, which is now in an array, and create the choices for my select field. So to do that, we go field, choices, and values equal. The problem with that, though, if we're doing values, is that that is the entire array. So we need to actually go through each value in the array. So to do that, I'm going to say for each, and we're going to go values as value, do something. And we'll put the close brackets after building this array. So now for each value as value. So now we remove the S so that it's an individual value. So for each value will be then added to this array, field choices value equals, and it will be the value. Once we have all that information. Now we need to do something with it. So what we need to do now is return that value. So now what we're going to do is return the variable field. So what we've basically done is we've said get the value of this field. If it's the same as this value, then get the text options for the subfield, convert those values into an array, go through each value in the array, and add it to this variable, this array variable as a choice. So then we have an individual choice for each value. Now what we have to do though is get these values into our advanced custom field select area. So to do that, the first thing that I need to do now is wrap all of this in a function. So to do that, we simply go function by underscore, let's say text choices. And then what I'm going to do is inside those braces there, I'm going to add the variable field, because field is the variable that we're going to use then to send these values back to our choices. And then here, add filter, and now we need to load these values into advanced custom fields. So advanced custom fields says we can use this hook / load field / name equals. Now we must get the name of the field that we're going to populate with our text options. So I'm going to head over here to custom fields. Then I'm going to go to my value output, and we want to fill this first text value, and there is the name of the field. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to put the name of the field in there, comma, get the name of my function. Right, so now we've basically said to this function, send these values to this first text choices field. Right, so before I save that, I'll just copy that. So if there's an issue, I don't lose everything I've done. And now we save changes and activate. Right, that activated. So in a perfect world, when I refresh this, there we go. There are my values. Now, I'm not happy about the fact that they're not in alphabetical order, because this is really hard to read. So what I'm going to do is go back to my function here, and I just want to sort these values before they return. So what I'll do is go sort, and what I want to sort field choices. That is what I would like to sort. So save that, and now when I refresh, you will see that we now have black, blue, green, purple, red, yellow in alphabetical order. Now the other thing that I can also do, because I'm returning values into an array, I don't want these values to contain this array to contain values from a previous field that I've updated. So to make sure that the field array is empty before I continue, we will simply say that we want field, and we don't want any options, any choices, should I say, in this array. So we go, and that'll make sure that before we start, our array is empty, and we can just save the changes. So now that we've built that one, we might say, well, right, let's do the second text choices. So let's fill up, that was the first text, now I want to fill up the second text. So to do that, I can quite easily then just copy this. Right, now you'll see it shows an error, and that's because my function name is the same. I cannot redeclare, so I'm just going to call this 2 and call that 2. I must of course replace that field name as well. So you'll see in second text, if I just click on that little copy, we want second text. I'm pasting that in there, and also I want to make sure that I get the right value. So here, if I go to my text options, it must be equal to text2. So I'm just going to replace that now with text2. So that's all we have to change, and I'm going to save those changes. And then what I'm going to do is head over to my custom fields. I'm going to go to my value output, and now when I go to the second text, there we have the numbers. But hang on a second, I want these numbers in sequence, not alphabetically but numerically. So in this one, what we need to do is we don't want to sort the fields, we want them to appear exactly as they are entered. We save those changes now, refresh, and now they appear exactly as we have them entered. Now if I wanted to add another one, there we go, and I might want to do something else here. Let's go lemon yellow, update, and I head back to my select. You'll see that here lemon yellow has been added, and if I look at the second one, you will see that 8 has been added. So that, in a nutshell, really quickly, is how we can convert a comma-separated list into an array and then have it output as a choice. In the second example, we were looking here at using a repeater value instead of the text field. So that's a little bit more coding, because now we have to get a repeater value and not just a comma-separated list converted. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to continue in this function, and just to make it easier, I'll just add it at the top here. So what I need to do now is add a new function, and this will be the repeater one. So it'll be underscore repeater underscore choices, and because it's the first one, it'll be 1. Once again, we add the field variable and open close brackets. So there we have our function. Now what we need to do is get the field value so we can loop through those repeater fields. So to do that, I'm going to go back to my custom fields. So very easily click on here, go to the field group, and because I have this add-on enabled, I can just click here and copy code with subfields, head over to my snippet, paste it in, and just quickly, there's a lot more to delete when you're doing more repeaters. So we'll just quickly remove those. And right, so that's that done. Right, so we've removed all of those, and now what we need to do is follow a similar principle here in identifying the correct values are assigned to the correct row. So in this case now, if we go back to our repeater options, when the repeater title is equal to repeater 1, we must get these repeater options. Right, so to do that, here we are, and once again, I'm just going to remove these if statements here, and so we're going to get the value, and we're going to say repeater title equal get subfield repeater title. So we're going to say if repeater title is the same as that value, then do something, and we immediately open and close the brackets. Now we have another repeater that runs, so we copy all of this text and we paste it in there. So there we have the repeater loop, but we don't have the field, the subfield. So we just have the rows but not the subfield. So what we're going to do then is head over to our custom fields and repeat a row. And I'm just going to come down here and I just need to get the code to get the options name, because I already have the repeater options as we have there. We have the repeater options running there, so that must actually move up there. So if have rows, while have rows, the row, and then end while end if, and now I'm going to get the value of that field. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of all these if statements again, and then here, right, so options name equals get field. So only if the repeater title, which is this repeater title value here, is equal to repeater 1. So is repeater 1, then if that's equal, then get the values of this repeater. And this repeater is options name. So there you can see repeater options, and then we get the options name. Right. Now what we need to do is take these option names and once again put them into this array to set as a choice. Now bear in mind that we are going through this repeater one row at a time, so I don't need to use it for each loop like we did here. All I need to do here now is go field choices, and what I can do is, in this case, I can use options name equals, I don't need an array there, equals options name, and then just neaten up here a bit, and then here return the field. And now I must once again tell it where to put it. So we're going to add a filter, and the filter is 2 sets of values, and right, so we're going to get the function name first. We just copy that, paste it in there. Right, and then the next thing we need to do is ACF load field name equals, and now we must get the name where we want these choices to appear in which field. So I'm back here at my field outputs, and you'll see that I don't have an output for the repeater values. So I'm going to call this first repeater choices, and that will also just be a select field. So with that in place, I'm going to update that. Once updated, I just click on the field name, it copies the field name, head over to my snippet, paste it in where it needs to go. So copy all my code. So what we have here now is for repeater 1, then get the values from that repeater within repeater 1, create the options name and output before. Right, well, we can test that. So I'm here inside, I go to repeater choices, and you'll see there are no values. The other values are there, and let's just go and have a check at our code. So this does sometimes happen where you'll put something together and it doesn't actually appear. So let's just have a look. So we have this is correct. If the repeater title gets subfield repeater title is equal to repeater 1, that is correct. Repeater options from options. Options name is options name. And return field. So to do a quick check, so we say repeater rows. So we want to make sure we have the right repeater. So we know that's repeater rows and the repeater title. So repeater rows, and we know that that repeater title is correct. We also just check here. Yeah, that is correct. Then we can have a look at the second repeater, and that is repeater options. So that is called if repeater title equals that, then if you have the rows repeater options, and then the options name is options name. So, and there we say get subfield options name, field choices, options name. That is correct. And then we return field. And ACF load field, that is correct. Name equals. And first repeater choices, and that is correct. So it looks as though our all is correct, but there must be a mistake somewhere. Let's just update those values, make sure that they're there. We'll just save this again. Repeater 1. And there they are. So it could have been any number of things to check, but generally the first thing to check would be that your function is correct and that you have the correct filter applied. Then to make sure that you have the first repeater looped incorrectly, that the check here is correct, and then that you have the second repeater looped incorrectly, which we now have. And also what you'll see now in the output here is that it's not in alphabetical order. So we'll sort that again, and over here we will go sort, and it will be field choices. Right. And now when we have a look, you will see that the field choices is now sorted in alphabetical order: blue, orange, purple, red, yellow. Now another thing to have a look at once again is we want to make sure that the array is empty, and so we will put in field choices equals array, and that just makes sure that this field value now has no values. Now what we want to do is do it for the second entry there. So we'll just copy that, paste that in, and we need to first of all change the name of the function, otherwise we're going to get an error. And the second thing that we need to do is change the if statement here. So the if statement here must be equal to repeater 2. Change that value there. And the last thing to do then is make sure that we update the correct field. So that was first repeater choice. So I'm going to change that to second repeater choice and save. And then here I need to add the second repeater choice. So add field, second repeater choice. And let's just make that a checkbox and update. And now when I look at my second repeated choice, you don't see any choices here. Let's just refresh that. Right, I'm just going to copy that. Head over, that was choice 1, choice 2, choices 2. I had an S missing there. So second repeated choice. And now when I refresh, you will see that we have those, and also in alphabetical order. So that's how you can create options pages with options, either using a repeater to list them or just a comma separated text list, and then have those items listed as select values. Let's say though that here you wanted to include some commas, so you then did something like this, and now you have a semicolon separated list. So I'm going to update that, and now when it says text 1, I'm going to change that to a semicolon, because what's going to happen now, if we just have a look at those text fields, and I go to first text, you'll see now that purple and black are together, and you can see that we have the semicolon here, and this is not how we want it displayed. So what I'm going to do now is head over to my function, and for text 1, I'm going to change that comma there to a semicolon. We'll save those changes. And now when I refresh my page and I go to first text, you will see now that the division is now by semicolon. So green and red are grouped together, blue, yellow, and purple are grouped together. So if we did have some content and we needed to keep the commas, we can just change that separator from a comma to a semicolon. And that's pretty much how you would then populate your choices list from the options pages using advanced custom fields. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and thank you for watching.